There and welcome. Thank you for coming. If this is your first time, I hope you enjoy this. My name is Tammy and I'm with Country Girls Tumblers. Please give me a thumbs up, like, share, and consider subscribing for future videos. Hey everyone, so this is the cup that we're going to be working on today. It is a true crime tumbler. And the first thing we need to do is we need to sand our cup really well. We want to get all that coating that is on all the cups. We want to get that off really well. So we're going to sand all the way around the cup. Make sure it, one way to tell that you are getting this coating off is, as you can see, the tumbler will start to dull from the powder, or the, not really the powder coating, but the coating that's on these cups. Once we get that sanded, we want to rub it down with 91% alcohol and get all that debris off of this tumbler so that it is a good, clean tumbler that we can start our next process on. And as you'll be able to see with cleaning this cup, you can see all that black that is coming off of it. So just make sure you wipe it down really well. And once we have wiped it down and it is dried, I'm going in with a 2 coats of, this is the Crystal Lac Universal Gray paint. And we are just going to put, if you can get one good coat on, that's fine. With me, I was having problems, so I actually did 2 coats of this. And then you'll set that off to dry. You may be able to see here in where I'm going back over, I was able to see some of that stainless steel through the first coat of paint. That's why I decided to do the second coat. And you'll set that off to dry and let it dry really well. And then our next step is, we're actually going to go in and we're going to put epoxy over this. So I'm using the Amazing Quick Coat epoxy from Walmart, and it works really well. It's a 1-to-1 mixing ratio, and you got about 20 to 25 minute work time, and it'll dry in about 4 to 5 hours. Or it'll be tack free in about 4 to 5 hours at 75 degrees. So you see me mixing up a big thing because I'm working on 2 tumblers here. So once we've got our epoxy mixed up, we are going to go in with this Pearl X powder, and we are going to be using, this is a violet brass, and I got these from Hobby Lobby. So this is our violet brass, and we're going to be using from Micas. This is the Recollections Extra Fine Glitter in Glitz. So it's a real fine glitter. It'll add just, you'll be able to see hints of like a green or a blue color in this epoxy. So it's not overpowering with the micas that we're going to be using. So you just want to put a little bit. If you want it, if you want more glitter, you can feel free to put as much in there as you want. I didn't want a whole lot because I didn't want it taken away from the design that we're going to be putting on the cup. And this is our violet brass that we're using. It is a really pretty color. It is more of a translucent color, so you'll still be able to see the white in the background. And this is from Little Lee and Rose. This is a metallic flake in Carolina, I believe. In Carolyn. And all of these items I'm going to have listed in the description below. Here again, with this, I didn't want it overpowering anything, so I'm just using a very little bit of this flake. So you'll just see that little pop of black to go along with the design that we're putting on this cup. We're going to be doing a vinyl wrap, and you'll be able to see all this through the vinyl wrap because the vinyl wrap that I chose is a clear cast vinyl wrap. Now, this is a flamingo pink out of the same box as that violet brass. And it too is from Hobby Lobby. It came in the package that is listed below in the description. And you can see I did not put very much at all. It just gives it, you'll see that little bit of pink hue in with the purple, but you'll still be able to see the white in the background. And after we've mixed it up, we're just going to pour this all over our tumbler and work it around the tumbler. We want to get a good coat all the way around this tumbler. Make sure you cover it really well. And you can see I am pulling my epoxy from the bottom to the top. And whenever I do go from the top to the bottom, I'm never at the rim. So I'm about at least a ½ inch below the rim. But as you pull from the bottom up, you're pulling that epoxy and up past the rim, so it's not dropping off into the rim. Another good way, if you have issues with getting your epoxy in your cup, if you use some blue painter's tape and line the inside next to the rim with that blue painter's tape, that'll help tremendously, so that you don't have that dried epoxy inside the cup. And I did pour just a little bit of the extra epoxy that was mixed up, just so that we would have a good coat all the way around this. Once we get it coated, here I am using my torch to pop any bubbles that's in the epoxy, and that'll help the epoxy kind of warm up just a little bit so that it will smooth out a little bit. I'm sorry, my little girl wanted to be in my lap today, the day that I'm recording this. So this is the vinyl wrap that I was telling you about, and we're just going to make sure it fits around this tumbler really well. With having that that epoxy on it, I wanted to make sure that it was going to fit well. And I'm just using some painter's tape to hold this in place until we get it on. So this will also help line it up, make sure it's lined up really well. And you're not fighting having to hold it and hold the vinyl and everything at the same time. And we're going to make sure it all lines up. And you can see here I'm measuring it out. Now this little piece of tape here, this was a lifesaver. And as you'll be able to see, I've got that on there. And I am able to pull that vinyl up with no problems versus having to fight to get it separated from the backing and everything. I just use that little bit of tape and it helped me pull that vinyl up off of that backing so easily. And this was well worth using this tape to do that, because you see, no longer than it took me. And whenever I'm trying to pull it up, I'm fighting with my tweezers or my thumb, my fingers, trying to get this separated off of the backing, and you saw how easy that was. So all I did was separate that from the backing and trim the backing off so that we would expose that vinyl so that we can get it started and get it tacked down in the position that we want it. And then once we get that started where we want it, and so that it still lines up, we are going to remove that bigger piece of painter's tape so that we can wrap it. Now once we've got that laid down, now having that little piece of tape also help hold this vinyl on, but with having that vinyl started, we really didn't have to worry about that. But it just helps hold it into place. Now you can see I've got my little felt scraper here, and we're just going to work this vinyl over this cup. We're going to press it on. I'm sorry. Press it down around the edges really well as you go along. And just make sure you wrap it all the way around. Once we get to the other side of this vinyl and we are at the end, we're just going to check it out, and we'll actually need to trim the backing off. And you can see here, you can see the little bit of black in there, and you can see some of the purple hue and the pink hue in it. So now that we've got this wrapped and it's actually overlapping a little bit, we are going to trim off that overlap. So you're just going to go down the edge of this vinyl and trim it so that you can pull that extra vinyl up so there's no overlap. And once we have that extra vinyl removed, then we are going to take our cup trimmer, and this I got off of Amazon. And we are just going to trim the edges of this cup to make sure there is a good straight edge on the top and bottom of this tumbler. And all it is you press your cup up against, there's a little straight blade, and it'll cut that vinyl, and you can just pull it off, and it'll leave a nice, even, straight edge on that vinyl for you. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm pulling off the edges of it, and you can see it'll leave a straight edge all the way around your cup. Now the next thing is, since we've got that all trimmed up and it looks well, we're going to go back in with our quick coat, and we're going to mix up our epoxy, and I'm going to use about 20 milliliters. So that'll be 10 milliliters of part A and 10 milliliters of part B to give us a total of 20 milliliters. And you want to make sure you mix that really well. And I'm actually going to go in and use just a little bit more of this extra fine glitz glitter. And we're just going to pour a thin coat, or we're going to pour our epoxy over this cup and work it into the cup. Now you can see here I'm pouring this epoxy about a ½ inch down from the rim, and then we're just going to smooth it around that top rim, and then we'll go back in through the rest of the cup, placing our epoxy. Make sure you get that cup coated really well, and here again I go from the bottom of the cup to the top. That way any extra epoxy, we're moving it from the bottom and making sure we have that epoxy all the way through the top of the cup. And as I come back down, I'm putting that epoxy on the bottom of the cup. And I always use just a real thin layer of epoxy on the bottom, because I'm actually going to put a sticker at the bottom with the Country Girls Tumblers logo on it, or one of my designs that I have that I use on my cups. So we actually put several coats of really thin epoxy over the bottom. Now once we've got our epoxy on and it's looking good, we are going to go in with our torch, and we are going to torch this tumbler. Make sure we have any of those air pockets out of the epoxy, those air bubbles. I guess I thought I didn't have this on very well, so I'm touching up some extra spots on here. Here we go. Now we're going to torch that tumbler. And we will let that cure. Once that cured, I went in with another 20 milliliters of the Amazing Quick Coat, and I just put that all over the tumbler. And this time I did not use any of the glitter, it was just the epoxy, nothing added to it. Once again, we're going to torch it, make sure there's no air bubbles in the epoxy. And whenever you're torching, you want to go really fast. You don't want to hold it in one spot, because if you hold your torch in one spot, that will cause you to burn your epoxy, and it'll leave discoloration, and it'll leave a lot of air pockets. Once we torch this, you can see I stopped it and switched the rotation of my cup. That way it's spinning the opposite direction, and that'll help everything level out. Now this is our final copy, our final coat. I hope y'all enjoy this. Y'all have a great day. Bye.